Hello, my name is Andrew Fake from Minds and Money. Delighted to be joined today by Nolan Petersen, who's the President and Chief Executive Officer of World Copper. Delighted to have you with us today, Nolan.
Hi, Andrew. Great to be here as well. Thank you.
Nolan, for those of us who don't know too much about World Copper, can you give us a quick overview of the company?
Yeah, sure. World Copper is a Vancouver-based junior mining exploration and development company with two major projects, one in Chile, the Escalones project, and one in Arizona, the Zonia project. Now, both of these projects are in an advanced stage of exploration. So by that, I mean we're beyond looking for a resource. We've already got two resources, one on each property. They are backed by 43-101, so they exist. And there's no more exploration required, although we do have significant upside. And beyond that, on both projects, we also have preliminary economic assessments or PEAs that show the economic viability of both assets as well. So right now we're looking for support in the market to advance both projects, focusing on the Arizona project as it's a smaller and nearer term to development, and unlocking the value in both of them.
Okay. I think that our viewers are probably very familiar with Arizona as a mining jurisdiction. With Chile, they may be less familiar and may have heard sort of like recent reports about the government and new legislation they're planning to introduce. What would you say to them?
Yeah, well, first I would say look at Chile as its station in the copper market. It's the number one copper producing country in the world. So it's very important and integral to the future supply of copper. The largest copper mines in the world all operate in Chile, the largest copper company. So to say that there's a question about its ability to support mining is definitely the wrong one. It's a very mining friendly jurisdiction. There has been some news over the last year or so about changing political climate, but I think that what you'll see if you follow the situation very closely, is that things are swinging in the direction that closer to being better for business going forward, is what we've always anticipated would be the case. So we think that Chile is and will continue to remain a good place to do business for mining, especially for copper, and that's why we have one of our projects there, and we're happy to be there.
Mhm. Um, and in terms of why an investor should particularly look at World Copper as opposed to there's obviously a lot of other copper
Of course, yeah.
exploration near production companies out there. If you had to identify one or two things that just make you stand out a little bit from the rest of the crowd, what would you identify those couple of two criteria
Yeah,
as?
I would say take a look at most junior exploration mining companies. Okay, so first of all, they are looking for something, right? They have an idea of the potential. So again, we're beyond that. That puts us ahead of 90 to 95% of the other junior mining companies out there. Then you look at our valuation in the market right now. We're at about a 25 million Canadian market cap, and yet we're sitting on two assets, both with, again, PEAs that demonstrate economic NPV at 8% at about a $4 copper price of over $2 billion US. $2 billion US, and we're trading at a $25 million market cap. So about a 1% of NPV, which is unheard of in the mining industry. So that I think is a standout. And then you compare us to many other companies that are operating in our sector that are at the same level of development as us, and look at their valuations, and you see a huge gap between us and them that we can close and fill. I would also say the other intangible is that we are a junior mining company with not one, but two projects. Again, we're not just a single asset company, and we have jurisdictional diversification, which means we can focus on one or the other to lower the risk. And also we have the option to monetize or do deals on one asset to benefit the other, which is something that a lot of other companies at our size don't have the flexibility for. So you're investing in optionality, quality assets, quality jurisdictions, quality management, and very strong value.
Our investors are always keen to know a little bit about the management team. Can you tell us a little bit about your background?
Yeah, of course. My background is engineering, so I'm a metallurgical engineer. I did that for over a decade, worked in project development, was involved in the construction of two major projects, Kamloops New Afton Copper Gold Mine in BC and the Rainy River Project in Northern Ontario. Along the way, I transitioned to more of a financial role. I picked up an MBA and a CFA, and then I joined New Gold and TMAC Resources most recently, was involved in a number of transactions, growing those companies and businesses. And, I did budgeting, planning, strategy, accounting, finance, all that good stuff. So I bring a perspective of a technical operations and development, as well as financial deal making, corporate governance. And that's why I was chosen for this role as we build a real strong mining company going forward.
And you've also assembled a great management team. Can you just tell us a little bit about maybe like one or two of the key appointments?
Yeah, one of our key people is a gentleman named Marcelo Awad in Chile. This gentleman, many of your viewers may be familiar with him. He was the former CEO of Antofagasta Minerals, of course, one of the largest copper companies in the world. He took that company from $4 billion to $20 billion in market cap, listed on the London Stock Exchange over an 8-year tenure. So he's very integral to our success in Chile as he helps us navigate the political and business climate down there. Having a guy like him who's keyed in and integrated with all the investment and business and political community down there is critical. We also have a gentleman named Hank Van Alphen, who is our chairman and founder, prolific mining and development starting a number of companies, a number of success stories along the way. Corriente Resources, successful exit for $800 million in the early 2000s. International Tower Hill is a gold company that grew to be worth over $1 billion in the market in the late 2000s. So to late 2000 aughts, I guess you call them. So very, very key figures at the high level. And of course, myself, we're working every day to make this company a success story.
Who are your key shareholders?
So Wealth Minerals is a junior exploration company, a lithium company. That's one of Hank Van Alphen's companies. He's the CEO of Wealth Minerals. They're our major institutional corporate shareholder. We spun out of Wealth Minerals a number of years ago, so that's how they retain their ownership interest. And we also have a board member named Robert Koppel, who's a lawyer out of Los Angeles, who's on our board, and also a prolific resource investor who's a very strong and supportive shareholder of World Copper. He wants to see this company succeed as well. Those two shareholders own, as well as management. So those two shareholders own about 50% of the company, throw in other management and insiders, and we're pushing 60%.
And if investors choose to come on board and choose to invest in World Copper, what are the key highlights and timelines you'd like to point out to them over, say, the next 6 to 18 months?
Yeah, so I think that it's key to differentiate between what's in our control and what's subject to the market. I'll start with the market and say I think that the market is turning. If you look at when copper was strong and the economy was strong and there was optimism and less uncertainty, which was about a year ago, world copper was trading up near $1. We're trading at about 25 cents Canadian right now. So there's a big gap. And again, nothing untoward has happened to the company. That's simply what I believe is market conditions. So that's a good return very quickly if the market improves and we get people back into the stock. And then I think that what investors should look for is our focus on development of our Arizona asset. It's smaller, it's more bite-sized in this market right now. We have near-term exploration that can be done inexpensively. So we're going to be starting that later this year, probably mid Q2, Q3 timeframe. That's our goal, to enlarge that resource and advance that project further along to development and make it a truly world-class asset.
And for those investors who want to check out World Copper and more, what's your ticker?
Yeah, so we trade under WCU on the TSX Venture and WCUFF on the OTCQX market in the United States. You're free to check us out at worldcopperltd.com and reach out for a one-to-one interview with me at any time. I can run you through the story in detail if you have any questions for follow-ups.
Well, thank you very much for your time today, Nolan. We wish you a very, very successful year in the year of the rabbit, and certainly would encourage our viewers to go and check out World Copper. Thank you very much for your time. That was Nolan Petersen, President and Chief Executive Officer of World Copper.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you for having me.